It wasn't until the doctor said to me, and I quote, "If you drink again, I guarantee you will be dead in 6 months." Okay? That was in October 2019, and I haven't had a drink since. Now, I'd drunk all my life, from mid-teens, and I've been on and off numerous times, long periods of sobriety, then always relapsed. When he said that, I realised I could not drink again. It's an impossibility. And from then, I built my life again. And you can do the same. But a little bit about me, to where I got to in 2019. I drank mid-teens a little bit. I became a social drinker at 18. And then I joined the police service in my 20s. And worked in South London, big drinking culture in the Met. There's big drinking culture in all sorts of jobs. I got promoted in my 20s and went to West End Central, which is in the middle of London. And to me, the middle of London was Disneyland compared to where I'd come from, which was a small village in Northumberland. Lots and lots of boozers there. Got married and things settled down a little bit. No children at the time. But I used to enjoy a drink. Very social. The police was good. I enjoyed my job, I was doing well. And there's pubs everywhere. No excuse, but I used to enjoy a drink. It's as simple as that. And then maybe late 20s, I started to feel a little bit, I was getting a little bit out of control. I was drinking too much, so I cut back a little bit. I started to get a little bit of anxiety. And my ex-wife dragged me to the doctors. The doctor said, "Yeah, you need to cut down a little bit, your blood pressure's a bit high." But I was still pretty fit, doing well. And as a lot of us do, we cut down for a day or two and think, "Oh, I'm going to be all right, I feel good. I'm only late 20s, I'm fine, I'm strong, my life's pretty good, I can handle it, everyone else is having a drink. I'm not as bad as those people." All these sort of excuses that you make to yourself so you can carry on drinking, And then I carried on, steady drinking, really. I would say I was heavy drinking when I was quite young, really. And I started to get a bit of anxiety. My daughter was born when I was 31. And I wasn't getting the same sort of rest, the same sort of recovery time, if that makes sense. So when you're a heavy drinker, you do need a bit of recovery time. But when you've got a family, and you're working hard, and you're trying to get promoted and all that sort of thing, there's a bit more stress involved, isn't it? I think I drank much more, but I felt weaker in myself. And the anxiety used to creep in. And I was on the underground. I thought, this is a bit strange, as I've travelled on the underground for years. But I started to feel a little bit faint and a little bit shaky and stuff, that sort of thing. That was sort of back into my life. It just went on. I drank a little bit too much. I felt okay at times, and I felt a little bit, I'd say it was part of life, getting a bit tired and all this sort of thing. And I remember going on holiday, and I'd never drunk in the morning before, and I felt really unwell one morning. We'd gone to Italy, I think. And I thought, I wonder what it's like to have a drink. Because I've heard about this hair of the dog thing, you see. And I started drinking a little bit in the morning. I thought, well, this is a good bit of a hangover cure, this, isn't it? And I didn't realise at that stage I was getting into dangerous territory, to be honest. It's not good drinking in the morning. But so when you start drinking in the morning, you're going to have to keep that on all day, aren't you? Otherwise, the hangover's going to come back. And I was starting to go into withdrawal when I got a little bit older. But I never did that again for a few years. And but I was still steady drinking, feeling a little bit anxious on the underground again. Someone said I was actually replaced the underground with a couple of buses, so I didn't want to be in the tunnel. But my job was going all right. I was fine. I thought it was fine. And I took some annual leave and came up north, and I thought, I'm just going to stop drinking. And I stopped drinking suddenly. I got a seizure. So it shows you how much I was drinking, wasn't it? Didn't it? Absolute madness. I was drinking far too much. I got some diazepam, which is basically alcohol in a tablet form, which will help you withdraw, help you come off the booze, basically. And then a couple of years off the drink. And then we settled down a bit. And I thought, well, the benefits of this are fantastic, aren't they? And then I'll stick to this. And something triggered in me, I think it was just a night out. I'll just have one. Got a bit complacent. The old habit came back. I had one or two, and straight away I started drinking again. I thought I'll just have one or two, then I'll have a few days off. But I couldn't do that. I was straight back on the thing, oh, I'm back in the game. I can socialise again. You can always socialise, you don't have to drink. But, it's like with booze, it's everywhere. And it's ingrained in our society. It's expected of you to drink when you go somewhere. People say to you, God, why don't you drink? what's wrong with you? You know, it's crazy. So I was back on again, back on the drink, came off it again with diazepam. Did the same thing, went back on it. Later on retired from the police, split up with my ex-wife and came back up north. And then I was completely alone then to drink as much as I wanted. And I did that for a while. And then 2006 it was, a while ago now, I stopped for 8 years. And I had a hell of a good time, 8 years sober. Started again in 2014, went back to the doctors and I couldn't get diazepam. I was drinking at dangerous levels then. And the only thing I could think of really to do was to try and keep drinking and try and taper down, trying to cut off the drink completely, but I couldn't do that. I'd taper down for a little while and then I'd go back up again. So I couldn't just stop. I didn't feel it was like a clean break from the drinking. My anxiety was top level then, really bad. I couldn't get out of the flat sometimes. I couldn't speak to people. I was worried about people walking past the door. I couldn't hardly get out. I used to get taxis on the local pub and I was so weak I started to lose weight. I wasn't eating properly. I was in a mess, complete mess. I had rats in the flat, never cleaned up. Bathroom went, well, just the whole thing just crumbled basically around me. I had no TV. I didn't want to let anybody in to fix anything. I was just drinking to survive. What a mess I was in, absolutely horrendous. And eventually, one of the guys I used to see now and again, I used to try and get out sometimes, said, "God, you're looking really ill." Now, I didn't realise how much weight I'd lost. I hadn't eaten properly for months and months and months. And he said, "You know, you need to go to hospital." So I made a couple of appointments with the doctor. I couldn't make them. I said, "Oh, I can't bother to go to the doctor." I was so weak. I was having another drink, and that went on for ages. It went on for 5 years, this. And eventually I plucked the courage to think, well, the only way I'm going to get out of this mess, and I was really ill, mind, by this stage, is to go into hospital. So I told my parents, my father was horrified. I thought, I'm going to have to do it. I had a huge distended stomach by then. I didn't realise it was liver failure. And there was all this fluid on my stomach. I wasn't walking well. I was just in a complete mess. And the honest guys turned up, took me to hospital in a blue light, actually. I was so seriously ill, and I was told I had liver cirrhosis. And they drained a lot of this fluid off, and I felt a little bit better. I started to eat again a little bit in hospital. And then I remember on a Sunday morning, this doctor came in, he was head of acute medicine. And he said to me, looked me in the eye, and he said, "I guarantee if you drink again, you'll be dead in 6 months." Okay? Now, when I heard that, I kind of knew that was me gone with the booze. That was finished with it. It took me to that level to get off the booze, to be fair. And even when I'd been told that, I still thought I could beat it, you know. I still thought, I wonder what it's like just to have one. But I didn't do that. I was very, very ill from 2019 to about 2022. I was in a wheelchair, couldn't do anything for myself. I was in Freeman Hospital for months on end, on and off, getting fluid drained off. Had a small procedure done in my liver to try and open up the portal vein. It was hideous, torturous, but I still thought, when I got well again, I can have a drink. I know I can't have a drink now. You shouldn't get to that level to stop drinking. When the doctor's got to say to you, I guarantee if you have a drink, you'll be dead in 6 months. Do not get to that level. Follow me for some tips and help with this. More than tips, it's good advice, actually. I do one-to-one mentoring as well. I've got an ebook out. I do lives. I've got quite a big channel on YouTube. I'll help you get sober. If you don't get sober, alcohol will take your life. It's as simple as that. And it nearly took mine. I think I was weeks away from dying. Horrendous substance, alcohol is. I had no idea. I'm not stupid, but I never thought it would happen to me. That's the key. Look after yourself. I'll speak to you soon.